Welcome back to my chronic illness journey, part 12. So, while it's post pandemic and while everything, all the other testing is going on, I realize I'm having back pain. And at first, I'm like, maybe I slept on it wrong. And when it persisted, maybe I stepped wrong. Maybe I threw my hip out, but it just kept going. And it was making it hard to 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 stand or walk very long, which is an issue when I don't have a car. I'm everywhere I do is walking or taking the bus. And in the town I lived in, the bus system was not like that great. If you missed a bus, it would be at least an hour wait for the next bus. If you missed the transfer, then that's another hour wait. Like, whew, it was really not good to not be able to walk that far. I started to use a cane, and I talked to my doctor a little bit about it, and she did ask, like, I had that and the edema going, so I had the pain in the legs, swelling in the legs. The legs weren't moving as well as they used to be. I was struggling with, like, stairs. I took a couple falls, and my doctor was like, do you want a walker? I was like, okay, let's try that out. But the pain just wasn't stopping. And so eventually I was sent to a specialist, and they did a bunch of x-rays, and there's a bunch of fancy words for the curve in the spine and the degeneration and two vertebrae being in direct contact, but it basically comes down to arthritis in the spine. And the specialist is like, we don't want to like fuse the spine, so maybe we'll try some physical therapy. And at that point, I was down to like, my doctor had me down for like, don't lift more than 10 pounds until, there's improvement. And like I said, I used to walk. I used to walk up and down hills. I used to take the local trails in town. I used to lift furniture and 50-pound crate into vehicles when I worked big box retail. And here I am, not able to walk much more than or stand much more than an hour without being in severe pain and unable to lift more than 10 pounds. And it was terribly like frustrating. So the specialist sends me to physical therapy, and I was in physical therapy for over 6 months. It was slow going. And I did get to the point when they had me able to lift 20 pounds, but there was still some motions that were quite hard. And like, I had gone in thinking I'd be able to eventually just ditch the walker and ditch the cane and be back to the way things used to be. And then I eventually realized that I had to adjust my expectations a little. I might be able to go with just the cane and not the walker, depending on how I'm going someplace or where I'm going, but I definitely was not going to be hoisting 50-pound things and walking trails anytime probably ever. the Eventually, like I said, I got up to 20 pounds. So the exercise, the stretches and exercise helped with the pain. I was still struggling with motions because of the legs, which we'll go into later, and the back. There was still pain, but this stuff helped. But there was only like, it reached the point where like it was, that was sort of, I was pretty much as good as it was gonna get. And so physical therapy came to an end. Like I said, I was doing a little bit better, but the pain wasn't as severe. I felt like my stamina was a little bit better than when I first gotten in there, and I was lifting 20 pounds and not just 10. But if you go look at job boards and stuff, most jobs are going to put 50 pounds down as a minimum. So that was yet another issue. Getting up and down the floor was hard, is hard. So that became another obstacle between me and employment, another set of conditions on my list. Uh, I will show off. This is my cane. And you're like, that is a very ordinary cane. Yes, it is. But I am the third generation to use this cane. It was my grandfather's. My father used it, and now I use it. So, one little thing I can say is, at the very least, I do have this. Yeah. So that was yet more conditions, yet more restrictions, yet more problems for me. And there is more to this journey. We still haven't fully covered the final diagnosis on the leg and other things. So stay tuned for part 13.